I want to make good music. So whether it ends up on the radio or whether it ends up on TV, I want it to be a good record. I think for a long time, there was that gap between, production music and radio music. I was like, we gotta close that gap. And so I've been very intentional about just make good music, whether it lives on TV, film, commercial, radio, just make good songs. My songs communicate versatility. I grew up playing in orchestras, but I loved hip hop. I was the kid that was in orchestra class, sliding up and down the violin, trying to play Dr. Dre, and my orchestra teachers, stop that, Alexander. I was a chameleon. I like being in different spaces and trying different things with different instruments, was doing things that were unconventional. When I approach music, that's something I pride myself in. Music is universal. I think music is so special in that sense of where, a sad melody. When you hear something that creates tension, the strings are running. That doesn't belong to a particular region of the world. It's just a feeling. I've been empowered by UPM to be able to experiment with these things. So it feels like I've been able to dip my toe in a bunch of different sounds, which, I consider myself extremely fortunate to be able to do. So we'll do like a vibraphone trap album. We'll do a country trap album. I'm always looking to be stretched and try different things. So Rise and Grind series started with a few tracks that I was putting together for the NBA. They had mentioned that they were looking for something that had like a classical meets boom bap vibe. We ended up doing the first installment of it. It ended up being way more successful than I anticipated because the ability for those classical elements and the drums to live in various different spaces. When I'm sitting down and working on these projects, it's like, how do we create stuff not only sonically versatile, but also kind of give it some specificity. While we were aiming for the NBA, it ended up getting used for the NFL, for different dramas, and we're getting ready to roll out the third one for that because I think we found something that lives really well in the sports spaces, lives really well in the drama spaces. It's such a privilege to be able to now be the guy creating the music behind all these things I grew up watching.